What's up, guys? It's Real with Jordan and Demi. Demi's out today, so it's just me. My guest today is a talented singer-songwriter from the UK. He has one of my favorite voices in pop music. His new single, If I Ever, is out now. Please welcome Conor Maynard. First of all, I love you. I admire you've got the messy hair look like down. You like got it. It's like
I'm trying out a new thing. I actually put up a poll on my Instagram to see what people prefer, because like I've always done the kind of bright, like well looked after quiff, and then I was like, oh, you know what, maybe try something a little bit different, because I've actually got quite naturally curly hair, so I was a bit like, maybe I'll just embrace the curls.
Yeah, like, I have thick wavy hair, and I just kind of like got where I sweep it, and I got the pomade going and stuff.
Exactly. And I was a little bit like, you know what, maybe I'll just like have a little bit curly, embrace a little bit of a new look. And I put a poll on Instagram, and the curls won by like a landslide. So the
curls. Oh, the fans love the curls.
Exactly. They seem to.
Yeah, and this has been Hair Talk with Jordan and Conor.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all the people want to know, really. We don't.
That's all they really care about is hair. Right? But for real, Conor, let's start out what's going on right now. Let's talk about your latest single, If I Ever.
Yes.
So first, let's talk about this is kind of reversal, but I want to talk about the cover first. Like, what's up with the cover of the single with the black on the hand and stuff like that? What's going on?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the cover art is kind of a personal nod to the situation the song is about. It's about a relationship that took place for kind of a big part of last year, but it was all pretty much all long distance. We met online, we started speaking got more and more frequent, to the point where then it became like FaceTimes, multiple FaceTimes a day, etc. And it was very weird for me. Like, don't get it. This isn't something I usually would do. This is a very odd situation I found myself.
Yeah, I feel like you wouldn't need to use online.
Yeah, like she literally lived on the other side of the world, so it was like there was no way we could meet. I was kind of getting ready for my tour. She had work. Like we expressed that we wanted to meet, but we just weren't able to make it work. So we continued talking online, and essentially we developed this thing where basically at the end of every single FaceTime, we would do this symbol, which is like a little heart, essentially.
Okay.
And I think it's Korean. I'm not actually entirely sure like where it's from, but I think like I saw.
I'll look it up and I'll put a little banner underneath. Like
exactly. Yeah. I think like I've seen members of BTS do it before, and I think it was kind of within Korean culture, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I always pretty liked it. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, it's much easier than doing that, etc. Like, you know what I mean? It's like one hand, super simple. And I just thought it was quite nice. And then I think I showed it to her. Then we started. It became a thing. At the end of every single FaceTime, we would always do that at the end. So the kind of imagery of the artwork was essentially kind of a nod to like that. And the black paint was kind of an allude to my feeling that she took something that was really, really nice and was good and ruined it and tainted it. And that kind of the paint is kind of, meant to look like it's essentially been defiled almost, like it was kind of ruined. And that's kind of the reasoning behind the artwork. So, yeah.
Well, you kind of like went around like the origin of the song too. You kind of wrapped it all up into one.
Exactly. Thing. There's so many things that tie together. There's so many things that tie together. The background. The thing is, some people might call it petty, but like the background was like her favorite color.
Yeah, it's very much like the contrast there. Yeah.
So there's a lot of kind of little things that were like kind of personal to me, and personal to the situation that I kind of obviously wanted to put my own stamp on it, because I've kind of said before, like I feel way more comfortable like talking about something and releasing something when I genuinely feel it, when it genuinely means something to me. I feel like not all artists have to release music that always constantly means something to them, like means everything all the time. It would be impossible. Like, I would actually hate to be that emotional all the time, but like, I think sometimes when you are going through something, it does feel a bit more like fulfilling and rewarding when you get to kind of put out a track and talk about something that, you that genuinely means something to you. So yeah, I kind of wanted to like put in as many personal touches as possible.
Right. When you write a song that's very personal, that's about a real situation, you know, and it becomes a hit, you're going to have to perform that thing for the next 10, 20 years or at least in the near future. You know, you got to play the newest single or, you know, whatever. Can you separate the situation from the song where you're not affected by the situation when you perform it?
I think over time, definitely. Like, I think, you know, time essentially heals all. And I think that, you know, over a certain period, you can kind of see the silver lining with it, especially if people like the song, especially if the song is successful. That kind of becomes a silver lining in itself. And like, even though you might have to go out and perform it, and it's maybe an emotional subject to think about and to sing about, over time, you know, that kind of pain obviously kind of subsides slightly, and it doesn't become as intense. It's not as kind of heart-wrenching. And you kind of see it more for the fact that, wow, I got to write the song about it. People seem to really like it. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of the positive that came out of the negative, the collateral beauty type thing of the whole thing. So I think that, you know, because this happened literally to me. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I'm still. I just do a single shot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This literally happened to me when I was on tour most recently. So in September and October, I had a song that I released the previous year that was very, very personal and was about a situation that I went through. And I was like terrified. I was scared to like knowing that I would have to perform it one day. And sure enough, the tour came along and it was time to sing it, time to perform it. And I was super nervous. I was nervous of how I was going to feel. I was nervous of whether I was even going to get through it, because I remembered how, like, just how much it hurt around the time I was writing it. But I don't know, like, fast forward, like, to, you know, it was about a year afterwards. And when I actually stepped on stage, it just kind of happened. It just, you know, I sang it, and it felt amazing to hear people singing it back to me. And yeah, I guess a time that once caused me like an insane amount of pain actually ended up being quite positive, and it wasn't too bad. I feel like it'll be quite scary till I have to step out on stage and sing it now. But the next tour isn't for a good few months, so hopefully by then I'll have you
kind of like let the distance, the separation happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. One thing that you've done, you know, over the last several years is you've been guest vocals on some EDM tracks, some huge EDM tracks, some dance tracks. When you are singing on a dance track, how do you approach that different vocally versus singing a ballad or a pop song that's one of your songs?
Well, I mean, I'll still always try and put my own stamp on it. I won't differentiate it too much. I'll want it to kind of be, you know, I still want people to recognize that it's me straight away. I kind of like to always have my unique stamp in there somewhere. You know, obviously, however, if it's like, if the kind of lyrics aren't quite as emotional, which usually they're not for like an EDM track, like a big kind of dance record there. And that's not all the time. Sometimes there will be kind of really big emotional kind of like dance tracks. But I would say kind of majoritively not so much, like compared to like maybe a ballad or like something that's a little slower.
Sure.
So I probably won't kind of like go for it as much in terms of like really making sure the emotion is poured in there. But in terms of like tonally and kind of my delivery, you know, it'll be pretty consistent throughout kind of any genre. I'll always want to put my unique stamp on anything I sing. So yeah.
You had this, your career really took off about 10 years ago, 2012, 13. You had some really big hits, you know, like Vegas Girl was from that era. You had the relationship, the mentorship with Neo. When all that was happening, were you one of those people where you were kind of overwhelmed by the situation, or were you able to handle it in a mature way? Or you were so young that, you know, like, I know you didn't do like, you know, cocaine and Corvettes and stuff like that, but you know, how did you handle it, do you think?
I sometimes think that I was quite lucky, but then again, it's hard to ever know. It's hard to ever know whether or not that the fact that I was young when it all started is the reason for why maybe it affected me more later on in life. But I would say that I'm maybe thankful that it kind of all did start when I was younger, because honestly, at that point, I feel like I was literally too young to even like be aware of like the effect it was maybe having on me. I was kind of I was just enjoying it. When it first started, I didn't find it overwhelming. I didn't find it scary. I wasn't like freaking out. I was just loving it. I was enjoying it. I was,
Sure.
people knew who I was. I was making more money. Like I was able to do the things I wanted to do. I was traveling so much. I was like buzzing. I was having an amazing time. It wasn't until like a few years later where I guess the more negative effects that came with it were starting to creep in. And I don't know whether that was just a knock on, like, just a delayed effect, or because I was getting older and more mature and my brain was kind of developing and learning new ways to kind of like think about things and how to process things. And I don't really know like kind of why it happened that way, but it wasn't until a few years afterwards where, I feel like I maybe started experiencing the negative effects and the kind of pressure and the anxiety and the fear that comes with, being in the public eye, or being, being an artist and feeling the need to remain relevant and the need to remain kind of in the spotlight. But I also think what was weird is that subconscious, like that was more subconscious. I don't ever feel like it was ever directly that was bothering me. It was never like I was thinking, I must post, I must do this, I must this. It wasn't really fear of that. It was more just kind of general anxiety that started to really build within me. In like things that I would never have kind of like thought about before or kind of worried about before. It was more kind of just like feeling very different and not knowing why I was feeling different and not knowing why I was kind of experiencing the kind of thoughts and the negativity that was going on inside my head. And that would obviously get misconstrued with like relationships I was having, like breakups I was experiencing, etc. Like, I don't know, like I feel like I've just notoriously throughout my life, like not been very good with breakups. Like, I feel like no one likes to break up. No one experiences it very well. But I've seen, like, I remember one of my housemates, he lived with me and he was dating a girl for a fair amount of time and they split. And I don't think I even noticed that he cared. Like, and I was like, bro, when I broke up.
But maybe inside he was all,
Exactly. When me and him were living together, we both actually went through breakups. And his one was like, he made a sandwich and everything was cool. But like, for me, it was like, I was a mess for ages. And I was like, man, maybe he was
a mess internally. Maybe he was crying into a pillow at night.
And he said that to me. He was like, I deal with things differently to you. And I was like, well,
yeah.
I mean, from my perspective, I wish I could deal it the way you're doing it, because you don't look like you're even in pain. You look like you're fine, but maybe internally he was. But
even if it is internal, at least you look like you carry on with your life if you do that. To the people around you and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and obviously I would say that my friends feel the same. It's just that I would say I'm probably more of I will talk endlessly about it. I will vent about it. I will go through the same thing with multiple friends, like to try and process it and understand, and like just to make sense of it in my head, because I feel like I feel maybe more calm when I feel like it makes sense, when I feel like I understand why it happened and, maybe how to prevent it in the future and like avoid it. Right. Whereas I guess for him, it was more of like he didn't speak about it at all. So I was like, are you just dealing with it inside your head? Like, I don't understand. Do you not feel it at all? Do you not care? Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting difference. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, you've had this second surge in your career in the last few years, where your streams have just skyrocketed over the last couple of years. It's over the last year, especially. And a lot of, kind of, I think about the anchor song for that surge is You Broke Me First. That's kind of like your recent song that's like was really big. Yeah. Was that when you recorded that song, was that like, this is like the song that's going to like get me back in the game and get me a bunch of streams? Or were
you Broke Me First was actually, it was a cover. So it was kind of more random than that. It was just a cover of the song by Tate McRae. And I heard her original. I thought it was really, really cool. I saw someone posted a piano version on TikTok. And I remember thinking like, oh, that sounds really nice. And then I thought to myself, I wonder if like I took it and played it on piano and kind of like found the key that I felt comfortable with. And if I did that, like, how would it sound? I recorded it and I remember thinking, this is a really, really, really nice song. And I really liked it, kind of how it sounded on piano as well. And obviously Tate's version was incredible. So I thought to myself, right, let me try something completely different. I don't want to kind of just copy kind of her version. I'd like to kind of maybe put my own little twist on it in my own style. And that's what I did. I did it over a piano. I got some kind of like atmospheric guitar sounds and got my close friend and guitarist, his name is Ross Chapman, to play on it. And when it was finished, I honestly could never have guessed like the amount of streams it was going to get. Like I put it out just as like every other like cover. It was just random. I uploaded it. without really thinking about it, and just watched it just go. Like it just kind of it blew up on like every platform. That was kind of what was so amazing about it. It was like sometimes you have a TikTok that just skyrockets, or you'll have an Instagram reel that skyrockets, or a YouTube video that skyrockets. This just blew up across everything. Like it did insanely well on TikTok. It did insanely well on YouTube. It did insanely well on Instagram. All the Facebook videos I posted of it did really well. Like everyone just really took to this version of the song. And obviously it was helped by the fact that the original is amazing as well. So I think
that, it was familiar to people. Like
exactly, there was a familiarity there, but it was kind of a different version. So I think that yeah, I had no idea that was gonna, and I always felt a little bit bad because I actually uploaded it the same day as a song that I did with a friend of mine who's another artist, and we did an original song together. And obviously it was in my head, it was just a cover, just every other cover. Like, oh yeah, I don't really think it. I'll just put it out. It's not an original. There's no campaign behind it. I literally just put it out, upload it, and then it's in the universe, and people can do with it what they want. And obviously it's one of my most successful uploads like to date. And my friend's always like, cheers for uploading that the same day as our song. And I was like, bro, I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was going to happen. I would never have done that if I'd known it was if it was going to happen.
Right.
It was going to happen that way.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Well, I hope you're still friends with him, you know.
Oh, no, we're still boys. We're still boys.
Okay. Okay. Good. Now, speaking of covers, you have this crazy popular YouTube channel, 13 million subscribers. You haven't uploaded a ton of covers like recently. It's been a few months since you uploaded a cover because you've been doing this original music.
Yeah.
First of all, I love your version of "Glimpse of Us." So good.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, that was just before I went on tour. So
right.
That was fun to do that one. Yeah.
How do you pick your cover songs? What you're going to cover for your YouTube channel?
There's a few kind of things I'll look out for. There's a few things that will go behind it, go on behind the scenes. It will kind of be like, one, it will be a song that's big at the time. I feel like that's kind of more of a strategical like thought process. Obviously, I want to, you know, cover something that people are searching for. I want people to be able to look for it and find it, as opposed to like, you know, track 14 of an album that came out like, you know, 13 years ago. I'd rather like do a song that's relevant and that people are looking for. And then on the top of that, I like to cover songs. I would say the majority of the time, I like to cover songs where the original artist sounds nothing like me. I like to do a cover of a song where it's kind of really, really different and really, really kind of my own unique, you know, will have my own unique spin on it, and will really stand out from the original. I usually will tend to avoid songs where I'm like, it might sound a bit too similar. It might sound a bit too samey. I don't want to just kind of do like a copycat version. I'd much rather do like a really different kind of reimagination of the song. And then also a song that I just like. I need to really like it. Like if it's popular and it sounds different than me, the original, and I just love it, that will be the three components I need to cover a song, because I can't force myself to cover something if I'm like, I don't really like this song. So yeah.
Yeah. So what we would like to know in America is, when are you coming to America? When is the big US tour?
So, I mean, it might not be for a little while, purely because I just did North America in September of last year. So it's only been like 5 months since the last time I did a tour over there. However, there's already discussions of the next one. There's already discussions of like an even bigger tour over in the States, and hitting and making sure I hit cities that I've never been to before, and cities I've definitely never performed in before. So I'm definitely going to be doing that in the near future. I've got the kind of rest of this tour that's in a few months' time. So, you know, I think that the thing is, I'm always in America anyway. Like, America's a place where I travel. Like, my best friend lives in the States anyway, so like I'm always over there. But in terms of performing, I hope really, really soon. I think that as I said, we're already talking about the next tour. We're already talking about a tour that's kind of focused in cities that I've never performed in before in North America. So I feel like it's going to come around quicker than people think. So yeah.
I'm from Kansas City. You should go to Kansas City. I
would love to. I would love to.
Let's talk about, you know, one of your most famous connections, most famous, you know, collaborations is with Neo.
Yeah.
Before we get into all the depth about, you know, that effect on you and what you learned, how did that happen? How did you even link up with him in in the first place?
So the Neo, the Neo thing is kind of hilarious because so it's I think I was around 17, and I did a cover of one of his tracks called Beautiful Monster. I did it with my friend Anth and another Australian singer named Maribel, and we did it, the three of us, and Neo saw it, which is hilarious because it means he was definitely searching for himself at the time. But he came across the cover, and his team reached out to me and were like, "Oh, we love the cover. We would love to sign you." And I actually originally took that as they want to sign the three of us. They want to sign me, Ant, and Maribel. Like maybe it's like a Black Eyed Peas vibe type thing, like a kind of, like a kind of a group. And I was like, "Oh my god!" So I told the guys, I was like, "I think Neo wants to sign us." And then I got asked to do a Skype call, and it was with Neo. And then it became apparent that like he was like, "Oh no, I kind of meant just you. Like I just want to sign you." And then I had to kind of awkwardly tell them, like, "Oh, he actually meant just me." But like, so
were they still happy for you? I'm assuming they were still happy for you.
They were still happy. And I think they maybe kind of thought that anyway. They're like, "Oh, if they're reaching out to you, that's probably what they meant anyway." And I think maybe I was just the idiot that kind of they completely misinterpreted the meaning behind what they were saying. But no, and obviously Anth is on. I'm still literally like, he's one of my best friends. When I said earlier that one of my best friends lives in the States, that's Anth. So I'm like, we always visit each other. I'm always over there. So, it was just wild. Like it all kind of happened really quickly. And then labels in the UK kind of caught wind of the fact that Neo was trying to kind of like sign me, who was like I was 17, this young British artist from Brighton. A lot of the kind of like UK labels were like, "Well, hold on, why is this British kid going to get signed over there? Like, surely, And so then they all got involved, and he was a major catalyst for for the beginning of my career. He really kicked things off by just purely showing interest in me.
Yeah, and just by like putting you on the radar, getting you on people's radar, like
exactly. Hey, and it was like even cooler that obviously he genuinely was willing to step in and like champion the whole thing, even when I didn't sign. Like I remember I was super nervous because the signing to him for me at that time wasn't right, because I would have had to. I think I would have to have moved to the States, and I wasn't ready to move away from my family. Like it just felt like a bit too much. And I remember just thinking like, I don't know if I can do this right now. And a UK based label seemed like a much more viable option for me at the time. So I did do that, but I was super nervous. I was super scared to tell him, because obviously not only did I want to sign to him, I was such a big fan. I was like such a big fan.
I mean, you covered a song in the first place.
Exactly. I didn't want to let him down. So I was like, how do I say? I don't know what to say. Like, what if he's angry at me? What if he's mad? Because, he could arguably, this is like, it's because of him I'm even getting signed, like, But he was like so cool about it. He was such like a gentleman about the whole thing. Like I sent him a long text being like, I would love to still work with you. I'm honestly, and he just wrote back being like, bro, like the game is the game. I completely understand. Like, I understand how things go. At the end of the day, he's like, I still love your voice. I would love to work with you. And then literally, sure enough, within that year, he reached out again. And then my label set up a session with him. I recorded a song. I recorded Turnaround in the studio with him. And the song was originally meant to be just me. And then I remember I sat down in the studio with him after I recorded the vocals. And he was like, he goes, he listens to it and he turns it off and he kind of goes quiet for a second. And I'm like, oh God, he hates it. And he goes, I think this song would really work if I was on it as well. And I literally was like, yeah. And I had to pretend to not be like, oh my God, yes, record it now right in front of me. Like, I was obviously inside. I was like super excited, but in the moment I had to try and play it cool and be like, do you think it will make it better? I don't know. I think I kind of try to play it down, but obviously I know. I was like, oh my God, yes. And then I remember he sent me his vocal and I was like, bruh, like I was just, I was blown away. So yeah, it was super cool that he still did all of that. So yeah.
Yeah. And what did you get out of that relationship? He's obviously has solo hits, but he's also the amazing songwriter, producer, outside of his own solo work. So what rubbed off on you? What did you learn from that?
Loads of things. He's just an insanely talented guy. And also he's super nice. I feel like the main thing that rubbed off on me from him was the fact that he was a reminder you can be like a superstar and still be like super humble, super down to earth. Like, he's genuinely just such a nice guy. Like, I remember every experience I ever had with him, he was just so cool, and he was funny, and he was down to have a chat, to joke and just chat about really normal stuff. And yeah, he was just like super nice. I'd say the number one thing I learned from him was that I didn't really get to witness him and his craft too much. It was more kind of, although on the video shoot, he was like, he's also like an insane dancer and like super like slick with everything he does.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to witness him, on his kind of in his element on the video shoot. But yeah, he's great. So yeah.
What are your dance skills like?
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. I feel like they're better than most people would imagine. So yeah.
So what is the new single? What is it? Is it part of something bigger, or is it completely standalone, or what's
part of something bigger? It's going to be part of a string of songs are kind of written about the same situation, and each song will be digging deeper into that and what happened and the kind of backstory behind it and how I felt and what I experienced going through it. And it's just my way of kind of venting, really, venting of what I went through and feeling like I can kind of, as I said before, like take something that felt so negative and turn it into a positive and utilize it for, to not feel like it was just this horrible thing that happened. You know what I mean? So like,
right.
It is nice to be able to do that. And also it's how I process it, is how I kind of deal with it, I guess. So yeah.
I want to ask, and when you're like just chilling out, what do you listen to? Or do you listen to like, I think it'd be fun if you listened to like death metal when you were chilling out or something.
Yeah.
But what do you actually listen to when you're just like wanting to listen to music or wanting
what's kind of funny? I feel like I get like one of the main questions that artists get asked is like, oh, what do you listen to? Like,
right.
I feel like for me personally, I feel like I spend so much time like working on music. A lot of the time when I'm like done in the studio, like the last thing I actually want to do is like listen to more music. Like, and I spend so much time like listening to my own demos and making sure that they're finished and imagining ways to like improve them and that kind of thing. But so I feel like normally when I'm actually done, I don't really listen to much music. I like gaming quite a lot, and I end up like.
What game do you play? What
well,
are you a Call of Duty guy?
No, I'm not really. So I love Rocket League. I play Rocket League a lot. The Last of Us is my favorite game of all time, and the fact that they now released it as a show is like, I'm literally watching it every week. Like, really,
how do you like the show as a fan of the game?
I think it's amazing. I think that it's like, as of yet, like so far, it's honestly like such a perfect adaptation. I remember a lot of people were kind of talking about Ellie, but I was a little bit kind of nervous about the Joel casting, because I just felt like I know that Pedro Pascal is such an incredible actor, but I just felt like he was very, very different from the kind of game version of Joel. And I was kind of nervous. I was like, oh, what if it's too different? What if I just like, because I'm so like, it was kind of like in music, we call it demoitis. If you listen to like a version of a song too much, and then you kind of want to change it or rewrite a bit, and then before it's released, it's really hard to not hear how it used to sound.
Right.
And I feel like it's the same thing with like if you're really used to something, for it to suddenly be changed is quite hard for us to adapt to. But I quite quickly got used to him. He absolutely nailed the role, and it's like it's so good. I literally love that show. I couldn't watch the new. So over in the UK, it comes out I think like 2 or 3 in the morning. So I'll just watch it like the next day. I'm so excited every single time it comes out. So yeah.
So the Last of Us adaptation gets the Conor Maynard seal of approval.
Oh, 100%. I've been telling like everyone I know about it.
Oh wow. Okay. Nice. What do you gravitate towards? Heavy dramas and that kind of thing, or do you like more light?
I'm just a story person. I love storylines. I love writing stories in my music. I love writing stories in my music videos. I just every piece of content that like I want to create, I want it to have like somewhat of a storyline. And yeah, I just like, for me, The Last of Us is one of the best written stories like I've ever experienced. So when I played that game, I remember thinking like the gameplay is insane alone, but then the storyline that like it follows is just, I was blown away.
Yeah, I remember when the game came out, people were just like raving about the story and the cutaway scenes and the
it's the cut scenes and like the kind of movie part that you follow throughout the game. That's just like for me was the mind blowing part of that game. It was just like how invested you get in these characters and how invested you get in their kind of journey. I was just like, and that's kind of always what I strive to do when I'm creating. I want you to be invested in the characters. I want you to be invested in the storyline. That's kind of my thing. And I think The Last of Us just absolutely nailed it with their story. So I was a big
Do you
fan.
watch anything that you're kind of embarrassed by? Do you watch reality shows? Do you watch any?
You know what? Not really. I feel like but I definitely do when my life is within that, like in that situation. For example, when I'm in a relationship, I will watch endless trash TV. Like,
okay.
When I'm in a relationship, like when we go to bed or whatever, like I'm so happy to sit there next to my girlfriend and watch just like any kind of like
some Real Housewives, some Love Island.
Exactly. Like I'll get in bed, I'm happy to watch it. Like I don't know, but then when I'm like single, I don't really watch TV at all, apart from like a show if I'm really into it. I don't really. I feel like I'm more into like gaming and kind of like obviously making music a lot more when I'm single. So I think that I definitely have a few guilty pleasures when I'm in a relationship. But as of right now, no, nothing. So I can look cool right now. So, yeah.
I appreciate the honesty there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I hope maybe you'll be on Celebrity Big Brother at some point.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that.
I watched that before. Though. I used to watch Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother. I used to watch all of them. I used to love them.
Which
Geordie Shore. I never really watched Jersey Shore, but Geordie Shore, which is kind of the British version of Jersey Shore.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Geordie Shore, we interviewed Joel Corey for the show. What a nice guy.
Nice. That's really cool. I saw him a few months ago outside the studio. Actually, we had a little bit of a chat. He's a really nice guy. So yeah.
Yeah. And I there's something really satisfying too about when someone can really create a career outside of their reality show and like excel.
Yeah, like I feel like it kind of is even harder. Like you're coming out of an industry that, for some people, like people don't people aren't very accepting to like the reality kind of TV show in other industries. And I think that, to see someone kind of break out of it and be successful in another industry is really impressive. Definitely.
Before we're about to end here, but I want to get your thoughts. You came up at the beginning of the Spotify era. That was sort of your era. You were like on the edge of the streaming thing, and now we're in the TikTok world where you have to tease songs, 30-second clips, and should I release it? Which is so when someone says should I release it, and if I feel like that'd be so terrible if it was like no, everyone was like no, don't release it.
Don't know about that. Maybe try again. It's like, because the problem is as well, half the time these artists, it's already coming out.
Yeah, they already got the schedule. The labels already got
that's already been sent off like 3 weeks ago. They're just doing a little tease to be like, guys, should I release it? Like fans feel like they're involved and like, it's funny enough that I was kind of thinking about like a TikTok kind of campaign for like upcoming singles where I genuinely do like play snippets of like 3 songs and let them choose. Like,
it's market research. You're getting your own but
at the same time, it's like the argument would be, but then where's the integrity? You've just got to release what you believe in. It's like, I get that as well. So it's a balance. You have to kind of get right.
Yeah. But my question is, are you grateful that you came up when you did? That you were already famous before TikTok kicked in? That you didn't have to get famous?
Yeah, I do think so. But at the same time, it's like it helped me somewhat, but it didn't help me massively. Like I wouldn't say that.
It helped the second wave that you're on right now.
I feel like it's like just because I guess I'd argue that just because I was like big at that point didn't guarantee me a spot like in the TikTok world. You know what I mean? It's like I still kind of had to work at it. I still had to like go on TikTok, be creative, be entertaining, and I definitely count myself very lucky that I was able to kind of do well on that platform as well, because it's never guaranteed. And every time a new platform comes out, all us artists like panic hard. Like it's like, oh my goodness, like a whole other thing I've got to learn how to use. And like,
I'm sure there's something bubbling up right now that we don't even know about.
There will be. I mean, even we got to make something like Be Real. I was like, what is Be Real? And everyone's like, I love Be Real. And then I was on tour and all the fans, the meet and greets, oh, can you be my Be Real? And I was like, okay, what is Be Real? Like, and then I kind of like clocked onto what it was.
People kind of dumped Be Real though. I feel like there were people who were into it at the beginning, and it kind of, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it is a weird one. But I have seen platforms where it feels like it's done and then it just goes. Like I feel like well, at least in the UK, everyone for a second, I remember everyone kind of thought the Snapchat died out, and then it just
there is a Snapchat resurgence, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
So I think that's what happens sometimes. A platform maybe kind of trickle. I think Twitter kind of did the same thing. I think Twitter kind of felt like the one that no one really bothered with for a little bit. And then all of a sudden it's just like, it's its own beast, like all over again. So yeah.
Yeah. You just got to ride the wave. You just got to like do whatever you need to do. Yeah.
Exactly. I would argue maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which platform feels like it's on a downer right now. I don't know, and I don't really want to say it in case they.
Don't. You start
talking like, in case they're like, oh, really? All right, cool.
Is down because
we're making sure your algorithm gets flattened next week. Like,
Yeah. We're gonna make sure we take care of that.
Yeah.
All right, Conor, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank
you, the new single "If I Ever" is out now, and go stream it and catch you on tour whenever that happens.
Definitely, man. Thank you so much. The next part of the tour is in Asia and Australia, and it's in May, June, and July. So yeah.
All right. We'll see you in Asia and Australia. Man.
There we go. See you later.
All right. See you later, Conor. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, bro. Catch you in a bit.
All right. Bye. That was Conor Maynard. His new single, "If I Ever," is out now. Thanks for watching It's Real with Jordan and Demi. Demi will be back next show. As always, go to popdust.com for the latest in pop culture and music news and to watch and listen to previous It's Real episodes. You can find me on Instagram at Jordan Edwards Studio, and you can find Demi on Instagram at Demi_Ramos. Until next time, we'll see you later.